G'day guys and welcome to another one of my Digimon Rearise videos. Today's going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to do a whole team PvP showcase. It's Yellow Week at the moment and I've got a really kick-ass team that I'm using. So I'll talk you guys through a little bit of my mindset when I'm building a team for each of the weeks, and I'll show you a little bit of gameplay and my thought process in the battles as well. So let's head over to the battle park. And this is the team I'm using at the moment for Yellow Week. As you can see, it's only Tuesday and I'm already 33 wins and 0 losses with this team. So it is pretty powerful. Let's start with the core, which is the first 3 Digimon here. The first one is Shinegreymon Burst Mode. This guy is super underrated, I feel, in the community at the moment. What he does is his passive skill gives him an instant shield of 10,000. So as soon as you start the battle, you have 10,000 shield. And he is a really good support, but only for yellow power allies. And that is 80% attack up. So paired with something like Alter S, who you'll see later, he is really good in terms of his passive. His sub skill gives you 40% chance to burn and a 30% reduction in status ailment resistance. So if you use his sub skill and then his main skill, which gives you another 50% chance to burn, a lot of enemies are going to be burned. And because his power is so high, his burn damage can do 7,000, 8,000 damage per tick. It's almost like Deathmark. It's really powerful. Moving on to the next Digimon, Omegamon Alter S. This guy came out and surprised everyone. He is super powerful and he was only available for 48 hours. I got really lucky to get him. His passive skill gives 40% counter attack rate, not that important, but just like all the other Omegamons, he has a damage limiter 5 times for 1,000. That is ridiculous. As long as it doesn't get removed, that is ridiculous. He also nullifies critical hits for 5 turns. So he's a combination of Omegamon and Daemon or Yellow Rusty. He is crazy. As long as that passive doesn't get removed, because that does have a 5-turn limit, he's really good. Both his skills aren't that amazing. All you need to know is that he stacks power every skill he uses, 25%, and his main skill is a 2-hit multi-shot which ignores block. If you play JP at all, you'll know all about this next Digimon, and that's Beelzemon Burst Mode. This guy is so broken and he will be in most of my teams for a long time to come. His passive is nothing special, just protects him from a few status ailments, selfish passive. His sub skill seemingly doesn't seem that powerful, but shortens all enemies' buffs by 5 turns. If you use this at the start of the battle, it gets rid of evasion, it gets rid of damage limiters, it gets rid of any buffs and status immunities that the other team might have. It hits all enemies as well. This skill is super busted. And then we come to his main skill, which hits 4 times, ignores block, and 2.5 times damage in case of a crit. This guy is absolutely nuts. I finished this team off with 2 supports. My first one is Cyberdramon. He's available through the ticket gacha at the moment. I don't even have any plugins on him. He's honestly just a passive bot for me. He gives 40% power damage resistance and 40% tech damage resistance. So he just makes my team a little bit more tanky. His skills don't matter because I never get to use them anyway. And finally, we have Blitz Greymon. This guy is also a passive bot. He does stack attack on his skills, but I'm never going to get a chance to use them in PvP. His passive skill is minus 40% power resistance and minus 30% to all enemies' defense. So he is a really good support and he'll make all my power mons hit really hard. So let's get into our first battle and I'll show you my thought process whilst we're in the battle. Okay, so I normally start off with Beelzemon's sub skill just to remove any damage limiters and any buffs that they have. Now for this team, I'm going to go for heaps of burn. We've got 2 blindness already inflicted, and you can see how powerful Shinegreymon is. He's super underrated. His main skill will take him out. I didn't even get to show him off too much. As you can see, this team is busted. It is so powerful. I'm winning matches so quickly. So I basically have 2 tactics that I can use depending on the team that I come up against. I pretty much always start with Beelzemon's sub skill to remove any damage limiters or evasion from the other team. And then I either go for pure damage with more Beelzemon, or I go for a burn tactic. I'm going for burn here because there's 3 enemies without a sub skill, or without a status ailment, sorry. And as you can see, didn't even get to show off the burn and how much damage it does. This team is so powerful. That 80% attack buff on Shinegreymon is ridiculous. Alright, hopefully this team puts up a little bit more of a challenge. Some Digimon can give this team a little bit of problems, and one is right here, and that is Chaosdramon. His defense buff really puts a hamper on this team, but watch this. If I can get a few burns off, 4 burns, watch this, boom, 9,000 damage from the burn. That's almost 100% of his health in the burn. Shinegreymon is busted. And then let's have a look at Alter S while we're here. I don't even need to use Beelzemon's main skill in this. This team is ridiculous. That burn is super underrated. With Beelzemon removing any passive skills, he is really, really powerful. Alright, a couple more to go. Again, I'll remove that. This is going to be a really tanky team. He's got Cyberdramon and Chaosdramon, so let's get those burns all around. Because burn damage is based off how much power my Digimon has, and it ignores defense. So it's a really good tactic if it's a really tanky team to try and spread that burn as much as you can. I only got 1 burn off, which is a little bit disappointing, but that's okay. And that's where Alter S is really powerful, because if Beelzemon uses his main skill, he can't get a crit because of that 5-turn crit reduction. And just an Apocalypmon, dead. So that was a really tanky team, but the burn got the job done, as well as all the super heavy damage from the 80%. And the Blitz Greymon support as well, who reduces defense and power resistance. Some alternatives you can use if you don't have Cyberdramon, you can use either Chimeramon, who does a similar thing, or I got stunned here, so I'll switch to Beelzemon, see if I can take him out. Only 2 left and he's blinded, so it shouldn't be a trouble. Cyberdramon can be replaced with either Skullgreymon or Chimeramon, who do similar things. Skullgreymon increases your how much you block, and Chimeramon basically does exactly the same thing as him. Or, if you really want to have a super tanky team, put Chaosdramon in there. Give that 50% debuff and 50% permanent crit reduction. He'll make this team super powerful. I wasn't lucky enough to pull him in the ticket banner, but if you have him, definitely sub out Cyberdramon for Chaosdramon. Blitz Greymon can be replaced with Dorugamon, this guy over here that's on the other team. He's a way better attack support. If you have him, I didn't pull for him, but he is super useful in PvP, and he's really good in the clash battles as well. In terms of the core, some alternatives that you can use instead of Alter S, you could use the new green Omegamon Zwart that came out. He's a really good healer. Of course, you can use the classic Daemon or Yellow Rust Tyrannomon to reduce the other team's crit as well, but their crit reductions are only limited to 1 or 2 turns, so Alter S is a much better choice there. If you don't have Beelzemon Burst Mode on Japan, you must really be struggling in Battle Park right now because he is super OP, and I would say there is no alternative to him. And Shinegreymon, as a part of my yellow team core, he's really good. You could replace him with any other status inflictor or any other damage dealer that you have. So there's a little bit of flexibility here, but really the core is Shine, Alter, and Beelzemon. And whoops, shouldn't have done that. That's okay. See, Chaosdramon is so tanky. If you have him, that would make this team literally unbeatable. Look how much damage that he can take. Obviously not enough, but he's really, really good. So if you have him, I definitely recommend whacking him on the team instead of Cybergemon. So as you can see, this team kills fast, kills easily. I haven't even been in danger of dying at all yet. Really, really powerful. If you're a global player, watch out for some of these key Digimon that you might want to pull for. Not every Digimon is worth it. A lot of the step-ups and a lot of the random gachas aren't really worth it. So keep an eye on my channel and you'll... Oh, done in 2 skills. Keep an eye on my channel and you'll be able to see which Digimon you like and which are worth pulling for in the future. Remember, Japan is a little bit ahead. Probably, or not quite a year, but almost a year. But you can start building up your core teams really, really fast. I'm going to be trying to do a video for each of the weeks and the teams that I use here. This is my yellow team week. And my red team week, for example, would look very, very different. Alright, let's try and get some burns happening in this match. So you can see that sub skill removes all the Omegamon's damage limiters gone. Oh, wow. That's a really interesting tactic. It doesn't work. He's going for a super defensive thing. I don't mind that. Get him to absorb all of the hits. Look at that. With that 80% power buff, he just hit a 7k crit. And remember, that hits twice. That's a double hit skill on that Alter S main skill. So he's not meant to be a super hard damage dealer until he builds up his passive, which is 25% per skill that he used, up to 75%. But he still hits hard with that 80% passive from Shinegreymon. As I said, Shinegreymon is super underrated. I've really shown him off in this video. Well, I've tried to. Everything keeps dying too quickly. Look at that. 3 blindnesses. Let's get an Alter S shot off there. There's no point in trying to inflict more status ailments if everybody already has one. Death Mark can be really annoying for this team as well. I have no Death Mark immunity. So if any of the Zwart Omegas get a shot off, it can cause a little bit of problems. But haven't had any bad luck for that this season. Alright, that's it guys. As you can see, that's another 10 victories in a row without losing. This team is super powerful and I highly recommend something like this or something similar for your next yellow week. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like so I know that people are liking this format of video, and I'll try and pump out a couple more for each of the different weeks with more alternatives and discussion around that. Alright, thank you. Bye.